We're going to be looking at function composition. So we're going to look at some functions, and we're going to have some numbers we're going to put into the functions, or equations are also called. And we're going to also put one function or one equation into another function or another equation. So right here I have two functions, f of x equals 2x plus 7 and g of x equals negative 5x minus 1. So the first one we're going to work with f of 3 of x, or f of 3, meaning we're going to put the 3 into the x in the f of x function. So we're going to take that 3 and we're going to put it right in that x. So wherever we see an x, we're going to put a 3 in there. So we have 2 times 3 plus 7, 6 plus 7, and that's going to be 13. So that's all you do for those on there. So now if we have g of x, and let's see, we have negative 2. So wherever we see an x in the g function, the g equation, we're going to put it right into where the x. So we're going to slide out that x and slide in the negative 2. So we have negative 5 times negative 2 minus 1, which is 10, minus 1, which is 9. So that's how you do those types of functions. We'll do a couple more as examples when we put one function into the other. But right now, that's all you do. You're going to slide out, in the original equation, slide out the variable, the x, and slide in and put in whatever they're telling us to put in. Alright, we still have our same functions, the f of x, 2x plus 7, and the g of x, negative 5x minus 1. So now here we have the f and a number 4, and then we also have the g. So what this is saying is, you're going to take the 4, put it in for the x, and solve it. Then you're going to get that answer and put it into g and solve it from there. So if I put 4 in for the x, so we have 8 plus 7, which is 15. Alright, so now we have that. We found out what the f of 4 is, which is 15. Now they say, okay, now take that answer, this 15, and put it right into that x there and solve it from there. So we have our g of x equation, so we have negative 5. Put the 15 in there, minus 1. So we have negative 75 minus 1, which would be negative 76. So that's all there is to that. So you start right in the middle. So I started right here in that equation. So I go inside the parentheses, put the 4 into the f equation, f function, get that answer, which was 15, put that answer into my g function, my g equation, wherever I see an x. I slide out that x, put in the 15, and then solve it from there. Now here's one more example. So we have g of 2 and then the f, so f of g of 2. So we're going to take that 2, and it's with the g. We go right inside this parentheses right there. So that 2 is going to go right in for that x there, because it says put it in your g function. So slide out that x, put in the 2, and solve it. So negative 5 times 2 minus 1, negative 10 minus 1, that'd be negative 11. Alright, so now, since I have that, then it says, okay, now put that into your f function, your f equation. So wherever I see that x, I'm going to put it in for the x. I'm going to slide out that x and put the negative 11 in there in my f equation. So I'd have f of x, 2 times negative 11 plus 7, negative 22 plus 7, which would give me negative 15. So that's how you do those. So you start inside the parentheses, It tells you to put a number in there, put it in the equation it's telling you to, get an answer, then put that answer into the other equation and get a final answer. Alright, let's do one more just to have another example. We'll just do it with two different equations or functions instead of the last two we had. Alright, so here we have g of 3 of f, so that means put the 3 into your g because it's in the parentheses, it's inside there. So we start with that. So put the 3 in for your x, so slide out that x, slide in the 3, solve it, get that answer, put it into your f equation, and solve it. So we're going to have x, whoops, excuse me, we're going to put 3 in there, 3 squared minus 4, because I slid out this x right here and put in the 3, so I have 9 minus 4, which is going to be 5. Alright, so now since I have the 5, since I got that answer, now I have to put it into the f function, the f equation. So I'm going to put that right in there. So I'm going to slide out that x, put in the 5, and then I'll have my equation, or my answer. So I have 2 times 5 minus 7, 10 minus 7, which is 3. So my final answer then is 3. So do it to one equation, get the answer, put it in the other equation, get an answer, and that's your final answer. So 3 is my final answer on this one. Alright, now on this problem you can see that I don't have a number where I did before. So all this is saying is take your whole equation of g and put it into your f equation. So right where I put that arrow, you're going to slide out that x and put that whole equation of g into there. So it's going to look like 2, then x squared minus 4 minus 7. Then I'm going to have to distribute. So I have 2x squared minus 8 minus 7, which is 2x squared minus 15. And that's all you do. Then you're done. You don't put it anywhere else because they didn't say start with a number first, put it in an equation, put another one. They just said take that whole equation, the g one, the function, the g function, put that whole thing into your f equation, your f function, wherever you had that x. So there was my x right there. So I slid that x out, put the whole equation, what I'm underlining right now, into there where that x was, and then solve it. Alright, we're going to do another one like this. I'm going to use the same equations, but I just flipped them around. Now I'm going to take my f function, my f equation, 2x minus 7, and I'm going to put it right into where that x is. So I'm going to slide out that x in the g, where the arrow is pointing, and slide in that whole thing of the 2x minus 7. So it's going to look like this, 2x minus 7, and I have to square it because that's what that says. It says whatever you put in for that x, when you slid that x out and slid something else in there, you need to square that. Then I have my minus 4. Alright, 2x minus 7 squared means 2x minus 7 times 2x minus 7, and then I have my minus 4. So now I'm going to have to FOIL or double distribute. So that would be 4x squared minus 14x minus 14x plus 49. And then I have my minus 4 in there. So when I get all my like terms all added up, I'd have 4x squared. That can go with that because they're like terms, negative 28x. And that can go with that because they don't have any variables. They're constants, so that would be plus 45. And then that would be my answer. That's all you do. You don't go any further. You don't put it back into the f or anything like that. So you took your f function, your f equation, put that whole thing in where the x was. You had to square it because that's what was the g function said square whatever you put in there and then subtract 4. So that's what my final answer is going to be. A couple more examples. So I got two new equations, two new functions here. F of x at 3x plus 4 and g of x equals x squared plus 5. So this equation right here, or this is telling me take your g function, because it's inside the parentheses, and put it into your f function. So wherever I see an x in my f right there, I'm going to slide that out and slide this whole thing right inside there. So it's going to be 3 times x squared plus 5 plus 4. Then I'm going to have to double distribute, distribute. So I have 3x squared plus 15 plus 4. Get my like terms together. 3x squared. I can add those two together because they're the constants there, plus 19. And that would be my answer. I'm done. Don't go any further. Don't put it back in the x or anything like that. So I took the g because it was inside those parentheses of the f. It says take your g equation, slide out the x in your f equation, the one I'm underlining right now, slide out that x, and put this whole thing in there, just like I did, and then distribute and solve it. Alright, I have the exact same equation, I'm just going to use those again, and I just reversed them now on what I'm going to solve. So now I'm going to put the f equation, so this is in the parentheses inside there, so they say take that whole thing, because they didn't give me a number right here. In the past we've had numbers sometimes, but we didn't. So they say take your whole f equation, put that right into your x there, so slide out this x, slide in this whole thing. So this whole thing's going to go right in for your x there. So I'm going to have 3x plus 4. You have to square it because that's what it says. There's a 2 up there, right there. So it said whatever you slid out and slid in there, you need to square that. Then plus 5. So that means I have 3x plus 4 squared means 3x plus 4 times 3x plus 4, and you have your plus 5. And now you're going to have to double distribute or FOIL. So I'm going to do that. 3x squared, or excuse me, 9x squared plus 12x plus 12x plus 16. And then you can't forget that you have that plus 5 at the end. So now we're going to get all our like terms together. So I have 9x squared, 12x and 12x I can put together because they're like terms. They both just have an x. That'd be 24x. And the 16 and the 5 I can put together because those are constants there. So it'd be plus 21. So that would be my answer then. So my original equation, what I'm circling right now, just like before, it says take your f, since it's inside the parentheses right there, take that f, put it in your g wherever you have an x, slide that out, put it in there, solve it, and you have your answer. So that's how you do function compositions. That's just some examples of how to do those. So you're going to have, if you look back at the previous slide, you're going to have numbers where you put into your equations, your functions, solve it. You can have numbers you put in your equations, functions, solve it, and then put it in the other one. So sometimes I put it into G, then put that answer in F, vice versa. And sometimes I just put the whole equation, the whole function, into the other one and solved it that way. So review back over these slides if you need to. Go back, listen to them more than once, and I think you'll be all right. Good luck. Bam!